Hey everybody, this is Petey from the Spinner Rack, and I don't think I have the ability to try to do a surprise, but I wanted to do this as a surprise, right? So I have here, which might be the greatest Treasury editions out. We have Superman versus Wonder Woman by Garcia Lopez. I think I need to get the Hulk and Batman just to get on Batman and the Hulk just to get on a friend of mine's nerves. We have the classic, not the one that started it all, but the one that's the most famous with this nice dramatic angle. This is what I was talking about, like a comic book angle. Ross Andrew kind of does these great kind of skylines, right? And so we have, I think, Superman's Ink by Neil Adams. We got who else is on this? Jerry Conway is writer. We also have Superman vs. Muhammad Ali by Neil Adams. But this is not the book we're going to talk about. It's the greatest one. And to your surprise, I think possibly one of the greatest Treasury editions would be Alex Ross's Superman. It's funny, it's all Superman here, right? But this is not going to be a Superman video. I promise you. The greatest treasury of our time is giant sized Kung Fu Bible stories. Some of the worst title ever. And how would this be? Well, as you see, I have the tag on it. A legend continues, right? So we are going to talk about, I guess, so we'll try to relabel all of my stuff that has legend guys. Erik Larsen and Bruce Timm made a friendship, right? So they became friends and they did the world's greatest comic magazine, and they did this together. So Erik Larsen was able to get a story out of Bruce Timm, and this is it. Now, Bruce Timm, just to give you some background. Now, obviously, he's the. Oh, I'm doing about this the wrong way. I should have this book here, right? Obviously, Bruce Timm is known more for Batman animated. This book, actually, I should do this book some point, right? He did one of the more inspired animated series about Batman, right? There's some of the production stuff, right? Some self-portrait of the team, self-portrait, I think, of himself, Bruce Timm here, right? He was one of the few people, the last person to be brought into Legends. He'd done one comic book, which is Mad Love, which I have somewhere around here, I think. I could just look in this book. But I want to show you one of his biggest inspirations, what you think would be Kirby or Alex Toth, is this book, which he said is one of the best comic books ever. And I agree, right? So I'll give you just a brief background about him doing comic books. And obviously everyone knows he did Mad Love. Let me see, is Mad Love in here? Sorry, sometimes I've been threatened to do stuff like this. Yeah. So he has some shots of Mad Love here, right? So I want to show you this. This is to give you before we get to his thing, and then we'll get to the Bible stories, right? Some of the, not all of his covers. This is his cover. And that's Ty. Some of his pencils for a series I did, which is a great series. Him doing comic book stuff, right? So this is him showing you he could do it, right? And this is a cool effect, taking the comic page and kind of pushing it over to the side here, right? And this is a nice dynamic of, we don't know what's going to happen in the end here. We have this great fight, a lot of panels, right? And usually this is a kind of great technique to build your tension, right? So you start from here. The Joker seems like he has the edge, but the Joker has the most power in this scene, right? You know, Batman is able to get his shots in. They're not as strong as the shots here. You see this still on power here, but you go to that Batman doing a kick, then you see the Joker doing punches and even a knife, and drawing you to the next page, and then bam, right? So, you know, this is why he was picked by the Legend guys to be a part of their team, right? So we finally did it. We're going to get into Secret Crisis on Ultimate Earth by Bruce Timm, right? And I wish I had the cover of the one Frank Miller did, because Frank Miller did the joking about all the different universes, but this is way later, right? So, and this is a throwback to, so he was kind of spoofing comic books at the time, right? So this is Submariner versus the Human Torch, right? But this has a hot stuff vibe, right? That's a Harvey character, right? And they had this big brawl in New York City, right? Not in a fake city. And then we had, there was all female versions of the original invaders, as Roy Thomas called them, right? And then we have Doctor Strange, kind of, and it's, I mean, come on. I bring up talking about this type of panel, this type of double splash page all the time. And you could spend an hour looking at this book, right? So when I said it's one of the best best Treasury editions, I wasn't lying. I put up some great artists: Alex Ross, Neil Adams, Ross Andrew, and Garcia Lopez. And Bruce Timm is showing you what you can do in a Treasury edition, right? So we have so many takeoffs of so many characters here. Easily Hawkeye, and you have someone who's kind of like Captain Marvel, the original one, like Big Barda, the, having Human Tornado, like Reed Richards, them playing off of the Two Gun Kid being the Rawhide Kid being, you know, gay, kind of going to Ant-Man, like someone small, something what he would do, like actually pulling like the eyelids, like giving you kind of Image Extreme type stuff, like even Batman Beyond, right? Colossus with a mustache, you have a voodoo sort of person, right? Characters like the DC, the Black Spider, right? And this is showing this whole, I guess it's a good thing to bring up since there's all these multiverse things. So this is kind of spoofing Crisis spoofing all the stuff that happened. I guess even in Image. Image always had a bunch of stuff like that. Link chain, mofo for hire. Actually, I should make a shirt out of that. All right. And here we have Erik Larsen and Bruce Timm. Arguing it out. So it's just like so much stuff, titillating stuff here, right? Because he does great babes. And we have a Nightwing take character going against the Hulk. So I guess this is trademark to Night Fang. Nosferatu. The Dreads. Oh my God. Sagna. Oh my God. Magnus. Sagnuts. Good Lord. This is. This is the Hulk versus Superman. Look at the level of action in this thing. And that's it. That's crazy. I'm about to say. And we get to see the two of them playing around like two kids in the house. Right? Playing with action figures. And it's kind of the feel that we get. So, as I always talk about the Image stuff, I always talk about the Legend stuff. I don't talk about the Image stuff. Do I have any Legend stuff here? Since I'm talking about it. But I always wanted to have a creator-owned title that I could put a Bruce Timm logo on it, a Legends logo on it. But here, so I'm gonna just go through the rest of this because they had some great artists in here, and we talked about it before about how regular comics become like manga. And here's a great artist, Adam Warren, who kind of does manga stuff. And if he really caught on, we could have possibly gotten, because speed lines, a lot of tension, a lot of stuff going on in them. They could have been other artists. Image guys use a lot of the speed lines too. It just didn't necessarily translate, right? Yeah, I'm scared. I don't know if I might have to go out and get some more Adam Warren stuff. Because this stuff is pretty good, right? And it's like as a kid, sometimes you don't. I know people talk about learning how to read, about reading comic books. I was always caught up in the art, and so it's kind of easy to understand what's going on here. You don't really need the story, right? We get Art Adams. This is we should have gotten a story out of him in this, but we only got a pinup. And I think it's Tom Scioli. Does like Kirby type stuff. All right. Another Art Adams pinup. And this artist I don't know well, but he's, obviously look at this. It's really simple and easy to do. he thought it was a kid who destroyed the snowman, but it's actually some sort of ice god, right? Oh, this was better than I expected. When I first saw it, well, I didn't buy it for the cover, but there's a lot of cool stuff in here, right? He erases memories, so all he remembers that the snowman was destroyed. He punches the rich kid in the face again. And then, of course, getting a Erik Larsen thing, right? So it doesn't look like a great start. Feels like kind of a cheat, but I think there's going to be some good stuff here, right? Real, simple kind of storytelling, right? But clean. Can't say nothing else about it. Negatively, this is a nice one right here. I think it almost should have started quicker, but at the same time, Larsen is doing his work. Hey, this is a cool one. Nice, cool shot here. Playing up the Treasury edition. This is kind of, I don't know. I was going to say, he always kind of takes a Kirby kind of vibe, but he kind of feels like his storytelling is Kirby with some, yeah, this is pretty good. It started slow. This is pretty good. You're a fan of Larsen, and I was at one point. Some decent type work. All right. And it should have been called Champion and Other Stories and Other Scully stuff. This is nice. And Bill Kuhn, he's pretty good. So yeah, I mainly bought this for Bruce Timm, but it worked out. There's some great artists here. This is kind of going back to the Bruce Timm story, but it's the worst title ever. But they're kind of being irreverent. But yeah, this is 2014. This is a reprint. I don't know why it says 2014. Oh, here we go. It was in 2014, and Bruce Timm still draws like this? That's crazy. That is crazy. So this is kind of, we never got a legend book out of Bruce Timm, but this is a creator-owned stuff, so I can put the creator-owned tag on this thing. A legend continues. So I want to do this as a kind of surprise. Any trade or book you saw, excuse me, any trade or book you saw that you liked, you want me to go through, I'll definitely go through it. But yeah, let's go over it again. Like nothing, this is like, I always talk about this type of panel, which I love. Action, big action page here. Get your story in down there, right? He also has stuff, right? If you have there's a comic where they talk about the Z formation. So you go from here to here, leading down. Like he has it down to a science. So even though they have this sort of action, there's still stuff kind of drawing you back over this way, right? So he's like one of the, I don't know. It's like he's an animation guy who like comic books, right? But see the kind of Z thing that's happening here. just has it in spades, but then it's kind of leaning you back this way still. And then she turns here till you go to the next page, right? And start the Z all over again. But yeah, like this is like a flawless book. Like right here, this story. um, excuse me for the sneezing. But yes, I mean, you can't. This is like, good Lord. This is some of the best stuff ever. So yeah, just want to do one last pass on it. I've been threatening to do this book. There's no kung fu in it. There's no Bible stories. I'm not sure what the title should be. It should be Champion and Other Stories. But who am I to say? I don't write Image, so no, I can't. I started out saying this is the best. I'm pretty sure you can't beat Ross Andrew and his layouts. It's a tough fight between Neil Adams and Garcia Lopez. Sorry, Alex Ross would be on the edge because there's a bunch of Kirby ones. There's a Herb Trimpe one, which is, I'm surprised I don't have it here. But that's the Herb Trimpe one is one of my favorites. It's the Winter Olympics, and what else? I guess that's about it. But we got Bruce Timm has done stories, but it's really interesting that he finally did one on his own, because that's what the Legend guys were trying to get out of him, because it was all about the artist. And he showed you he knows what he's doing, right? So there you go. Spin a rack out.